of the ancient Near Eastern warfare. Studies on fortifications demonstrate that the Book of Mormon patterns of military architecture, as well as the patterns of the engineering, are also consistent with similar patterns found in Mesoamerica. The Book of Mormon further reflects the fact that ancient military technology and tactics, these were never static. Major changes in military techniques described in the Book of Mormon include the proliferation of armor and fortifications among the Nephites in the 1st century. That's Alma chapter 43, verse 19, and 48, verses 8 and 9, which the Lamanites, these also later adopted. That's in Alma 49, 6. It's very interesting, isn't it? The social and economic foundations of ancient warfare. I'm on page 488 now for those of you who are interested. Warfare should not be seen strictly as military activity. Now that sounds kind of odd at first, but consider his information. Many elements in warfare reflect the social and the economic patterns in a society. A very keen insight, I would say. In order to be militarily competitive, ancient societies first needed access to basic resources to carry out warfare. You need the food to feed the soldiers, you need the textiles and leather for clothing and armor, you need specialized stones or metals for weapons and armor, and you need stone and lumber for building fortifications. You need timber and other byproducts for shipbuilding, and you need gold and silver and other forms of wealth to purchase these supplies and assure the loyalty of the troops. You ever think of all these interesting details that need to happen in order for war to be conducted successfully? The ability to recruit, to equip, to train, to supply, and to move large groups of soldiers, servants, and animals also represented a major social undertaking for ancient societies. Indeed, warfare strained the economic and the social resources of many ancient societies, sometimes beyond their limits. And what this did, of course, is it contributed to their ultimate collapse. As the story of Moroni and Pahoran illustrate in our Book of Mormon, the cost of war exerted terrible social and economic pressure on Nephite society. This is described in Alma's chapters 58 through 61. Because of the economic strain of supporting armies at war for long periods of time, plundering was essential in supplying many ancient armies and is constantly mentioned in the Book of Mormon. Demography and other patterns of recruitment are topics that warrant further study as well. Obviously, the Book of Mormon describes a steady demographic and geographic expansion of Nephite culture through the centuries. This expansion coincided precisely with a steadily increasing size of armies and casualties that are mentioned in the Book of Mormon text. The pattern was to move from armies numbering in the thousands in the 1st century BC into the tens of thousands by the 4th century AD. Pre-modern warriors were generally organized into kinship or communal groups, serving under leaders who personally participated in the melee. The broadened agricultural and industrial base of early modern societies allowed for an increasing percentage of the population to serve in the military until eventually universal conscription was introduced. In modern warfare, the tactical organization of soldiers, this is purely administrative. rather than communal. Pre-modern warfare also tended to be aristocratic, with a hereditary, highly trained, elite military aristocrat dominating warfare in most societies. The aristocracy is what was the dominating factor in the pre-modern warfares. With the rise of gunpowder weapons, however, these allow marginally trained peasants to kill the most highly trained aristocrat. The hereditary military aristocracies became functionally obsolete, so they ultimately declined and eventually they disappeared. As John Tvetnes has demonstrated, the Book of Mormon fits the ancient pattern of tribal and communal military organization and hereditary military aristocracies. Another ancient pattern that is fit into the warfare in the Book of Mormon throughout its text. It is interesting that a volume on warfare in the Book of Mormon has very few discussions of the actual battles and campaigns. This reflects the current trends in military history, which focus less on what has been called the drum and the bugle accounts of battles and more on the political, the social, the economic, the cultural, and the religious implications of warfare in human societies. Of course, Nibley, Sorensen, and others have already done preliminary examinations of battle narratives in the Book of Mormon. Nonetheless, a great deal of work in analyzing the actual accounts of campaigns still remains. Here I can only briefly review some of the major patterns in pre-modern field operations as reflected in the Book of Mormon.